Hey guys, it's Roderick. I'm here again with another review of The White Lotus, Season 2, Episode 4, In the Sandbox. Well, the comments got really spicy last week, which I really appreciate for the most part, as long as you're respectful. Like, there's one person who did get blocked because he came kind of sideways, but I really enjoy like discussions and the different viewpoints that, everyone brings to the table. I'm never going to say that my definitive opinion is my opinion is definitive, right? It's just basically what I see, and then it's pretty much through the filter of my experience, right? So I really appreciate the comments and the different point of views, because sometimes I'll miss something, or sometimes I never will think about a certain thing in a certain point of view or a certain character arc or something like that. So please leave the comments, stay engaged, just be respectful of the situation, right? Because trolls will be blocked. So anyway, let's get started. So pretty much, this was a better episode than last episode. I just did not like the last week's episode. I actually liked this week's episode, but again, I pretty much am seeing we have pretty much the same type of archetypes, the same type of characters that we had the previous season, which is okay as long as we do something new. So, for example, we have the wealthy out-of-sync couple. Connie Britton and her husband last season. Then we have, Harper, Ethan, Cam, and Daphne, right? Then we have the beleaguered manager, both seasons. Tanya and her bullshit. We already knew that was going to be this case. Then we have the outsiders who kind of appear in the scene. In last season, it was the doorman, the Hawaiian doorman. This season, it's the gays, which we'll get into. Then we have, the person who's kind of outside the wealth class, or the wealthy, patrons, who really kind of wants to be there. Really wants to be there. That was Amanda Seyfried's friend, who she brought in, last season. This is Lucia and Mia. Then we have the visionary who wants to follow their passion. Last season's Belinda. This season it's Mia. And then we have the socially awkward white male, Connie Britton's son from last season. This season we have Albie. Which again, if every season is going to be kind of like the same kind of archetypes, that's fine. I just want to see something new and fresh with them, so that we're not like, okay, here we go again with the same type of character archetypes, and they're kind of moving kind of similarly. So anyway, let's go in. I'm going to do it person by person, because again, I kind of like that kind of flow as opposed to trying to go chronologically and the video doesn't get like super unwieldy and too long or something like that. Okay, so let's start off with Valentina, who again, I really like the Valentina character, even though she is the beleaguered, manager. She just really yearns for a connection, right? Something outside of her work, because she's one of those people who has poured her life and her entire self into her job, and she really wants something outside of that. Like, she eats lunch alone, she feeds the cats. So you see her and Isabella kind of make this connection. It's like really great. And one of the things she does is she goes to Isabella, who's a front desk fish, and tells her, make sure Rocco isn't being super pervy or whatever. Now, one would say, well, she's doing that to cover her ass because she doesn't want any sexual harassment claims. But really we see it's because she really likes Isabella as a person, potentially more as a potential friend. A stretch would be like it's a kind of lesbian-ish. But she ends up giving Isabella this starfish, which is a symbol of love, right, to Isabella, just to kind of thank her for kind of saving her in front of Dom, and potentially that she just wants to be friends with her. Now, am I thinking that Valentina wants to have kind of sexual, romantic relation with Isabella? I'm not getting that tease, but one of the things about this show is that it's like an onion where you got all the layers are not revealed to the very end. Because again, it's a murder mystery wrapped in a drama. And I think part of my frustration last week was the murder mystery is kind of really the A storyline that gets pushed back until the end of the season, because we really don't know who really ends up getting killed. And all the seasons, all the episodes are doing is kind of like giving us maybe potentially motives, but they may not even be the motives of what actually ends up happening. So anyway, that's Valentina. Then we'll get to Ethan, because that's pretty much the whole thing. So Ethan wakes up, he's super drunk, hungover, and, he's pretty out of it. I think he kind of got the sense that he's feeling a little guilty about his kiss for Mia. And, when Harper shows up, he's very much kind of out of it. And you really see the dynamic of him and Harper's relationship, in which She's just kind of likes to unload because she wants to be in control, and she's pretty much unaware that maybe he's hungover, maybe he doesn't want to hear about this or whatever. And and Ethan just kind of goes in the bathroom again because I think he's feeling that angst of, last night was a lot. Plus, he had this kiss with Mia, and pretty much he moves to the episode trying to get on the same page with Harper because she's acting weird, which we'll get to at the end. And he just isn't really getting that, so he's kind of really feeling guilty. Question: should he have told Harper when she showed up about the kiss with Mia? Right? I think in the beginning, yes, but after Harper's acting all weird, I could see why he did it. And I feel like that lie by omission is not as big as whatever. What he should have done is that when Harper said, oh, they cheat on her, when that Cam cheats on Daphne, he should have then fessed up and was like, yeah, because boop, 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 boop happened, right? Even though I am a strict adherent of bro code, I believe in bro code, I think that at that point, knowing how Harper is, even though that he doesn't know that she found some condom wrapper, I would have went ahead and told her, because it takes all the ish out of it. So then if the kiss did end up coming out anyway, you'd be like, oh yeah, that happened, but nothing happened. I think at the end, he just should have told her whatever. But I don't think that omission is as big as a transgression as Harper's omission. But we'll get to that in a second. Okay, Cam and Daphne, pretty much, Daphne wakes up the morning and she's feeling kind of really vulnerable because she has kind of exposed herself to Harper, who pretty much has acted like a bitch the entire fucking vacation, and was like, I hope I can trust you. And Harper's like, yeah, because Harper lets her off the hooks, like, oh, you didn't really say anything. And Daphne's like, okay. And then, of course, Daphne gives her this backhanded compliment of, well, you don't really know anybody I know anyway, so I really shouldn't be worried. Which, again, that kind of tracks with Daphne and kind of in the socialite realms that she works in, right? Cam wakes up with the two hoes in bed, okay? Shortchanges them, okay, which we'll get to later, about how, but we'll get to that in a second. And shortchanges them, kicks them out, then gets into bed with Ethan. It kind of has this nice bro-y moment, bro code, and then kind of does this really sexual banter, which I didn't really think of anything of, just because I think that that's just what guys do when they're just being funny, whatever. Now, a lot of people on the internet and Twitter are saying that Ethan's really in love with Cam and maybe they have a past. I'm not getting that. I just think that Ethan is just socially awkward and Ethan wants to be as jovial as Cam or as outgoing as Cam and whatever like that, right? So, but again, this show is, full of surprises. So who really knows kind of what that is? But I just thought that was cute. I really didn't read anything in it, but let me know if you really think that they have some sexual history, because shit like that happens, right? Especially in college, experimentation, blah, 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 right? So I don't really think anything of that or whatever like that. Let's get to the host, because this was hilarious and irksome, right? So Lucia's been trying to be the Professor McGonagall of the host situation, bringing Mia on a board, trying to teach her the tricks, and they break the first rule is, no, but how do you have sex and don't collect your money, right? Every hoe knows you get your money first, then you get down with the business, okay? So you don't let Cam goop you out of almost 4,200 euro? Because remember, Dom gave her $3,000 for that one night, okay? Oh no, he gave her $3,000. Yeah, he gave her $3,000 the first night. And I don't know what he paid her for the him and Mia experience. So let's say Lucia gets $3,000 and then she throws on Mia's an extra $1,000 or whatever. That's at least $4,000. So she done got gooped up at least gooped out of 2,200 euro just not collecting her money in the beginning. And she gave him product, which is an extra surcharge. So you get an F, girl. You failed the whole academy by going there and having your friend hoeing too, and then none of y'all got any money. That's just bad hoe. It's bad hoe, bad hoe, bad hoe. You get your money first, then you go around and play. And, make him go to an ATM, Venmo you, PayPal you, all these things he could have done before you leave, talking about, I'll leave the money at the front desk. Girl, you ain't ever gonna see that money ever again. You a fool. I was just nope, nope, and no. So anyway, after they do their whole thing and they do the walk of shame and Valentina serves them the business, was there you go, because she pretty much has to put up with them now. They go outside because they ain't got no place to go, right? Because Dominic kicked them out the rooms, and then they can't really leave the hotel and come back again because Valentina doesn't know that Dom's kicked them out the rooms. So Lucia's gonna work the whole hotel as much as she can because they can't leave the hotel and come back because then Dom may tell them, they're not with me anymore. So they gotta stay at the hotel the entire time, and they can't be running up no tabs on anybody else's business. So she needs to pull out her A+ hoeing game to make up for not for the money that she lost for Dom, and she's to make up for the money that Cam short of her. So I don't know. She's pretty much at this point, she is like the Ron Weasley of hoes at this point, because I'm like, girl, you failing on all accounts with this whole business. Then she gets a strike of conscience being like, she can't really do this anymore. She doesn't really like the hoeing. She's scared she's going to go to jail. Meanwhile, Harry Potter Mia here is like, damn it, I'm down with the get down. If all I have to do is fuck and I don't have to talk to you or feed you or cook you or rub your belly, I'm down with it. And she's like, no. And I'm like, girl, you've been putting her through the whole training classes the whole fucking season so far. So, plus you need to be able to try to pimp her out and get 10 or 20% off the trick she's turning so you can make up for that Dom money. So Mia's down with the get down. So then, they both get ready and they go to, first they decide to clean up because they have the key to Nono's room, right? So they got to go clean up, get ready for day 2 of hoeing. And so they go in, here comes Nono comes in, while they're doing their hoe bath or whatever, almost gives a poor man a heart attack. So then they scoot on out and they go down to the beach club, right? So they go down to the beach club and then they sit next to Albie, which we'll get to, is being poor and pathetic, waiting for Portia. And Lucia's trying, Lucia knows who Albie is and she knows who's her dad. But I guess she's like, either your daddy done shorted me money, Cam done shorted me money. So either this gonna be pro bono or I'm trying to get some money out of Albie. Haven't figured that out yet, whether Albie was just like the pro bono trick. You got to do some kind of charity work at some point, whatever. I don't know what that was, but they down at the beach club, whatever. Mia decides while her pussy's still warm, she's going to go fuck Giuseppe, the piano player, because she's like, I want to be a singer. And since I already got worked over last night, I might as well just go ahead and do some more again with the piano player. Give you B+ for effort. Also the fact that you staying true to what you there to do anyway. So I am going to call bullshit on the whole Molly Viagra bit mix up, because even though Mia didn't know what the pills were and then Lucia was doing the you could have stepped closer to her and told her, or you should not have left until you knew what pills they were. So I was just like, okay, whatever. So Mia goes back and starts hunching Giuseppe in the church, and he can't even get it up now. So that's how she ends up with the Viagra, and then she doesn't know which pill it was, so she ends up giving him the Molly, and Giuseppe ends up having like a heart attack, because again, there is an age limit to doing these type of prolific drugs or whatever. I don't know if you ever watch Nip Tuck. There's this whole episode of Nip Tuck where like Sean does coke and then he thinks he's having a heart attack. Yeah, like at a certain age, you have to just kind of top out of doing all those kind of illicit street drugs, party drugs, whatever, because your heart and your body really can't take it. As Giuseppe finds out as he gets carted off in an ambulance. So, I'm like, oh wow, this is Mia's good opportunity. Giuseppe's down for the count. So instead of Mia kind of sliding into the piano and start playing and singing, she's gonna go ask Valentina. Now, Valentina doesn't fuck with you. Valentina doesn't like you. If it was up to Valentina, you wouldn't be there. So if I was Mia, I would have started playing and singing as opposed to going to Valentina, who was just like, girl, read the room, bitch. Read the room. Get out of here, whatever. So now Mia done fucked him, not got her singing thing, and he's on his way to the ambulance, and she doesn't know where he is. Again, bad hoeing all the way. Bad hoeing all the way. So I was just like, whatever. Meanwhile, Lucia's down with Albie, and she's using the same little line that she used on his daddy. Oh, you're from LA. Oh, that's my dream. At least Albie was smart enough that his dad to be like, why didn't you go? For her to be like, well, I don't have the money. Which again makes you believe that this is like, Albie's like her charity work or whatever like that. And I was just like, sure, whatever. Albie needs a win anyway. So I was just like, okay, let's do it. Now let's get to Portia and Tanya, right? So Portia and Tanya are literally, again, the same person, just at different points in their lives, right? So the more we wake up in the morning, they're having breakfast. Tanya's still down in the mouth. Portia goes and decides to make plans with Albie for what they want to do for the next day. Because she's kind of like, well, he's not that exciting, but I kind of like him, whatever. So they make plans to go to the beach club, okay? In the middle of that, they're leaving and they run into the gays, Quentin and Mateo, right? Now, typically, I do not like the use of gay characters just as being like prop sets or whatever, but I did like the use of Quentin Mateo and Didier and his boyfriend as kind of like the change agents to freshen up, because Quentin's really seemed to be very much interested in Tanya's life, right? And also that kind of tracks like with their whole thing of, hanging out with other rich old ladies anyway, right? So I really did not mind or find the whole use of like the gays as props as being kind of objectionable here, right? So Quentin invites Tanya and Portia to come to the beach club, and then she's like, I've never been to the beach club. So we get a new setting, right? Typically it was like the pool, now we're at the beach club, right? So the beach club is where all the action pretty much happens, for most of, this episode. So Tanya shows up and she orders her rosé, and then here we come, Pool Boy, which is really Quentin's nephew, Jack, which I'm just gonna call English Stud Muffin, right? So now Portia's pussy starts getting wet because there's English Stud Muffin, and he starts flirting and they start talking. And meanwhile, Albie shows up and he's like waiting and looking around for Portia, and he looks up and there she is, kikiing and flirting with English Stud Muffin. Now, Albie, being young, waited far longer than I would have before I went up and said, what the fuck is up with Portia, right? Like, he waited like a good probably 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes because he's trying to shoo Lucia away because she's trying to get her coins or get her pro bono merits in or whatever. And he goes up there and he's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, hey. And he pretty much is like, I thought we were going to hang out. And she's like, well, yeah, I kind of have to stay here with my boss and I'll let you know. And Albie can clearly see that what's going on. And that's just very hurtful, right? Mainly because this was Portia's idea, right? But Portia, who is just a younger version of Tanya, cannot pick a good man to save her life. Am I saying that Albie exciting and like gets your pussy wet and makes your heart race? No, but if you want to find a really good man, Albie is probably the better candidate, right? Or you just could have been honest when instead of talking about you want to date someone and you want to be exciting, you want an adventure, your adventure is going to end up getting your heart broken, if not pregnant, if not a VD, right? Because English Stud Muffin just looks, even though he looks like could be pretty good in bed, right? Don't know what the dick said. The dick wasn't giving me a whole lot in the pants, so I was like, oh girl. But I was like, English Stud Muffin looked like he may be able to give you a good round away, but Portia's a type of chick who would end up falling for English Stud Muffin, and then he be done fuck somebody else the next day, and you sitting there heartbroken, and you trying to go run back to Albie, right? And if that ends up happening, I hope Albie just gives her the fucking business, right? I was like, really? But of course, Albie's the type of guy, because he likes broken birds, who would take her back and do whatever, right? Or hopefully Albie's trajectory would be like, if his path is really to be like his father, fuck around with Portia, fuck around with Lucia, right? Even Lucia's fucking messy as fuck for fucking the daddy and trying to fuck the son too, but a hoe's gotta make the bills, right? So it's inflation in Italy. I guess that's what Lucia's onto, right? But I really did like Quentin and Mateo, and then also Quentin gives her, the backstory of Isla Bella or whatever, the house with the kind of haunted house, the backstory, which I think is probably going to be another location that we have during these episodes. So I, again, did not find the gays objectionable at all. I think next episode's the big party in Palermo. So I really think that that's going to be, really, really fun. Whatever. So Albie, Dom, and Nono, right? Pretty much Nono is just getting a kick out the fact that these hookers are still hanging around and that they were in his room, because Nono reveals that he's pretty much scared that he's not think he's going to see another naked woman. So he's kind of jealous of like Dom and his hoish ways, and Albie and his kind of like early pussy days or whatever like that. So, Nono, and plus Nono almost had a heart attack seeing the whores in the room. Now Dom's feeling some sort of way, okay, because Nono lets it slip that the whores were in his room. So he's like, these fucking hoes skiving in the room, but he can't really say anything, right? So I'm sure that he's gonna have a stern talking to with Lucia about how she doesn't need to be giving, his father a heart attack skizzing around or whatever. But you let the hoes stay in there, so what are you expecting, okay? So Albie goes to dinner, shows up to dinner with No and Dom. I was like, hey, do you mind if I skip dinner? You know, I'm taking this girl out to dinner. Child, he's trying to take Lucia out for dinner. Talk about trying to make a hoe a housewife, but whatever. So while he comes, anyway, they go to the bar. She's with her friend. She does that whole straight girl, here's my friend, let's buy us some drinks. Yeah. Albie buys the drinks. They start having shots, whatever. And there over behind him, or actually in front of him, is Portia and English Stub Muffin kikiing and vibing or whatever. And Albie's feeling some sort of way. And Lucia gets some extra credit points. Was like, girl, don't let her win, right? So then Stud Muffin and Portia start making out. And Lucia was like, girl, you don't, like Portia's not even in the same hoe-ass category as Lucia. So she was like, girl, let me show you what a real hoe does. So she starts making out with Albie too. And Albie's like, ooh, I could get with this. So then Portia feels some sort of way and said, well, let's just go back to my room. And Albie is like, well, let's go back to my room, right? So then English Stub Muffin comes out in his sexy underwear, which I was like, really? Like that's your sexy underwear? Again, maybe it's just me and my gay ass hoe ass life, but I was like, I don't know. If someone had told me they had sexy underwear on, and then they came out the bathroom with that, I'd have been like, wonk, wonk. But whatever. It's in Italy. He's British. They're straight. You know, whatever. I mean, it must be a different metric, right? Anywho, so he gets in there. So they start kissing. So they get ready to get it in. So then we cut to Albie, who's getting a blowjob from Lucia. And I was just like, really? The blowjob standing up in a hotel room when you have a whole ass bed? But I think they just wanted to, it's for the shot of like Albie, his bare butt. But I was like, girl, your knees and that carpet, and you know, you could have moved to the bed. But anywho, so they're doing it, and then, you know, Albie comes. Now, good hoe. Now I'm not saying she swallowed, but she didn't do the and whatever, and you know, whatever. A good hoe, even if you do spit, never lets the person know that you're spitting, right? Because it's just demeaning, like, oh my God, or, and then you run to the bathroom, right? So again, she has some good hoe training. She just misses some of the abundant fundamental courses, like get your motherfucking money, let the person know this is pro bono for free, you know, because I was waiting for her to be like, but then she did it because we didn't see that part, because then she goes to the bathroom. So I don't know whether she's just trying to long play Albie, whether she really likes Albie. We don't know, but I was at least good because Albie needed a win really, 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 really badly, because he's going through too many changes with fucking Portia and her bullshit, right? Who is just like Tanya and her bullshit. So let's get to Harper, okay? Because I'm gonna work this out, because this just really annoyed me, and I got the sense that this was going to happen last episode. So I'm going to break it down with my annoyance with this whole Harper storyline, right? Now, Harper gets home, and then she's talking to Ethan, and immediately she gets on this high horse, telling Daphne's business after she's promised Daphne. But I've heard married people have this thing where, like, you can't, you know, if you tell a married person it's a secret, it's kind of given that the married person is going to tell the spouse anyway. I'm not married. I don't know about that. But I once had a married person who was like, don't tell your husband. I told her a secret. I was like, well, don't tell your husband. And she's like, well, you can't tell me what I'm not going to tell my husband. I was like, oh, duly noted. So I'm not going to tell you shit, right? So I don't know. So that may be the rule of married people, that is given that they're going to tell their spouses. Plus, I think married people like talking about other people's business anyway. So whatever. Needless to say, Harper goes down and tells Ethan all the business that they're cheating, right? So when she goes, oh, he cheats on her, that's when Ethan should have said, yeah, because body happened, right? Even so, then Harper could say, well, did you do anything? No, I didn't do anything. Then you could go to the bathroom. Then when Harper finds the condom, she could either dismiss the condom based upon what you've already said, or you could just or she could ask you what this condom is for. You're like, well, I just told you, right? Needless to say, Ethan, goes to the bathroom. Harper finds the condom, right? And then she does the whole, oh my God, I'm in shock, I'm so sick, white woman thing, right? Now, here's my problem. They have spent 3 episodes building and solidifying Harper as this confrontational, really sure female attorney, right? Now, as a recovering attorney of 20 years, I know a lot of female attorneys, right? No female attorney is going to just not ask you a question not confront you with a direct answer, because that's how they have established Harper's character. Or what she's going to do is ask a series of questions so that she can get the picture. None of Harper's questions gave her a clearer picture. And if you just said out your mouth that you know that Cam cheats on his wife and your husband was with Cam, the better assumption is that it was Cam having sex and not your husband. It makes no sense to me where this leap went from where Harper and Ethan have this okay relationship in their mind, and all of a sudden she starts getting worried that Ethan is going to cheat. Ethan has not given us any indication he has a temper. He has a cheating way. He don't have no cheating bones. He ain't got no cheating eyelashes. But all of a sudden she's going to think he's cheating, right? Because he hangs out with a cheater. Okay, I could see that, but why not say something when he gives you the opportunity? The first time, the second time, all throughout the episode, Ethan asks Harper what's going on, and she doesn't say anything. It does not make sense, and I'm calling bullshit on it, right? Because the truth of the matter is, she would have said something, right? Or she would have fucking gotten over it, right? Or been like, oh, that's not him, or whatever. So kind of like, it's a very, very lazy way to introduce this conflict and doubt of Harper and kind of move us to the next phase of what's going to happen in their relationship when they just should have had a conversation. Now, they could have had the conversation and Harper not believed him, right? And then that's something totally different. But I don't believe that based upon what they've shown us as Harper's character, that she wouldn't have said anything, especially if her previous sentence out her mouth was that Cam cheats. So I think what they're trying to do is really set up, because they kept showing the heads again that is shown in the first episode, and that some woman is going to feel, kind of like there's going to be like a woman scorned, right? Is it going to be Lucia? Is it going to be Daphne? Is it going to be Harper? Is it going to be Tanya? Is it going to be Mia? Who knows, right? It's going to be Portia, for example. So they've really been showing that, kind of calling back. Again, we call that a charged item, an item that has a symbolic importance, right? In screenwriting or in writing, it's called a charged item. So again, I really liked the episode. The cinematography was great. The picture after Albie getting the blowjob with him sitting on the pole as the martyr, I didn't know, again, because you don't know in this show what is foreshadowing and what's a red herring, right? So you really can't buy too much into a lot of the imagery that's shown, because you don't really know whether it's going to foreshadow something or whether they're using it to kind of throw you off the scent of potentially, who is the killer and who is being killed. So that's one of the things I do know, because, you gotta go, ooh, is that it? Or then you're like, oh, that's not it as well. So anyway, that was the episode. Again, I liked it a lot better than the last episode. We now have some new wrinkles. The gays are now in the mix. So they're going to be a catalyst for, I think, a lot of revelations for Tanya, and also potentially whatever the final murder scene is going to be, because we don't know. We know there's one body. We know there's more than one body. So there's multiple bodies down there. We don't know whose bodies they are. And now I'm kind of interested. I just don't want this Harper bullshit to kind of go on for the rest of the season without having a conversation, or her start using kind of like her logic or rationale to kind of get to a thing. But it's fiction. I enjoy it. I can suspend my disbelief, because the show has not really required us to suspend our disbelief that much. So if Harper is where I have to use my suspend disbelief coins on, I want to do that and not be begrudged about that. But otherwise, like I said, it's a good episode. So let me know what you think. Please, guys, if you're new to this channel, you like this, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I will see you all again. I'm going to do a video for American Horror Story, a reaction and recap, either tonight or tomorrow. And then I will see you guys next week. Okay? Thanks. Bye.